Just thinking about perception and observation and connection.
Good words.
Working in a place like the Hocken, we have lots of amazing archival collections. More often than not, they're written from a Western perspective. And so we have to find the indigenous voices in there. And so last week I had the pleasure of having one Pacific Studies class at the Hocken, and the first time they've come, and it was awesome. And so that meant that I had to find all our good Pacific Island related material at the Hocken out for them. And so
there's lots in there.
There are lots.
You just dig.
And so one of the items had out was from it was from a guy called Edward Sayers, and he was a missionary, a medical missionary in Gizo.
Oh, really?
I can't quite remember the date, but there's his diary. 1929, because it's on the top of the diary. Got this huge big diary of his daily activities, some
which
interesting,
was such a
some
thing.
mundane, yes, and then also his pharmacopoeia, so all his little recipes for things like respiratory illness and
I'd be interested in how did he describe what he was using? Like, was it natural stuff or was it
like sodium chloride and
salt?
Yes, and a lot else was in there. I'd have to have another wee look, and also because it's in that loopy handwriting.
Because why I ask is because, of course, we've got so many natural herbs. I mean, herbal medicine is such a big part of Solomon Island healing traditions across the Solomons and still used today. So because this medical access is such a problem for many people, access to pharmaceuticals, so it's already there. We've already been using it for how many years? And
thousands.
Yeah. And so, actually. And so in all of our communities, there are people that will go, okay, this is the plant for pneumonia, this is the plant for malaria, this is the plant for, and there might be multiple, or this is the concoction, the recipe for. So I'm interested in, did he have any natural stuff that crept into his, or was it just the introduced
all his Western
ideas on it, or was he told? I mean, because that's not an area, this Western Solomons is not where I'm from. I've got lots of friends that have worked in that area, but I haven't gone into those. I expect I will eventually go into these areas.
This would be a great side story.
Yeah. Interesting, fascinating.
So although through his eyes, and we always know more about the Westerners than we do about the indigenous voices, but you get that insight into what was happening at that time for the people. So, yeah.
What else did you have?
Maps, charts of the Pacific.
I'd be interested in how they look
Not
too.
unfortunately.
But who were they mapped from?
That would have been those ones, I think. Oh, no, there was one of the Pitcairn Islands that was drawn by an islander, it said on it.
I wonder who wrote that.
And it had Fred Christian on it as well.
Oh.
Yeah. Items to do with Samoa's independence.
Oh, wow.
And then maps also of Aotearoa New Zealand as part of the Pacific.
Yes,
that
obviously.
Were part of Edward Shortland, so he colonial administrator who travelled around the South Island with Kaitahu Rangatira Te Huruhuru, and who helped map out the parts of the South Island on his journeys. So, yeah.
How did they look?
Awesome. And spelt
I am quite interested in how things have changed over time, the different versions of maps that you see, and what people thought things were like.
And things are measured in terms of distance, like how long it took to get somewhere rather than metres or kilometres. One night or 1.5 days.
Yeah.
And all of its different nuancey meanings, perspective. Like, drawing, Cook's years and years and years of practice of mapping Canada. and then mapping Pacific. His accuracy is touted many times about his first skirting of particular headlands and landforms of Te Waiponamu are accurate to such an amazing degree. For that perspective, and also he was in a ship out to sea looking at the land rather than on the land looking out or up or in. Yeah, and I think that when people start to talk about Waitaha maps, for me that's a juxtaposition of two completely unrelated schools of thought, because like you say, the way that we talked about how we travelled around our motu, the landmarks that we refer to, the campsites that we made, the stands of tikaka that we encouraged to grow so we had shelter and food, is completely different to a settler coming in and talking about this is the way to the gold and this is the road that we're making. Maybe that's the value of all of this inquiry. These collections that we have, these collections of whenua and these collections of puka and the conversations that we have and the events that are unfolding in our country and our world right now, and us recognising that we are all human, but it's okay to be different from each other.
Yeah.
Especially when we respect the differences.
Yes, celebrate it even.
Respect, celebrate, love.
Yeah.